Welcome. So this is a sort of an important lesson for this class. I'm going to go through a sharpening activity on my own essay. I took your comments on my draft and I've been revising it, adding in bits that I think are important and some that maybe aren't important. I gave it a few days break, which is important. Uh, the days break kind of give me time to disassociate or make break connections that I have from previous ideas, so I can read my words a little bit more for what they are on the page. I looked through it. I've actually went through it a couple times today, and one of the things that jumped out to me right away was the idea that I added a new introduction. I added a bit about my experiences in high school, my sort of best essay or best paragraph from the previous essay draft about writing in college. But I came to the conclusion that what I did is I took my, ooh, jumping all over the place. I took my old introduction and I kind of buried it. I thought, well, if I move the best part of my essay forward, then that'll give my reader the best part first, and that'll work. And it's true, it could still work that way. But I also kind of broke up my intro. So when I looked at it this morning, I thought, well, this intro can go with my new intro. It's all part of the same thought. It's about um, me looking at instructors, and taking the risks and setting it up. So that's my first thing that I did. I still like my title. I believe in writing instructors, writing wordy words. I had a student earlier today ask me, do you need to get rid of the word wordy? And I said, no. I said, that's sort of intrinsic to my belief. I said, if I were just to show you the final draft, that would go against my belief. And so my wordy words are in the rough drafts more or less than anything. So I'm keeping wordy words. It's a decision that I'm making, which brings me to another important thing about sharpening. Think about not only the meaning, think about eliminating unnecessary words, but in the process, take ownership over what you write. When you make a decision, be prepared for somebody to ask you, why did you do that? And to give them an answer. Now, it's a risk. You're making a deliberate choice, but it's your risk. It's your writing. So I'm keeping it. As a teacher of college writing, well, that's bulky. I'm always looking for introductions for slow startups. I'm looking for the words that, which, and who. Those are four places for writing to get slow and dull. I'm looking for lengthy appositives, passive sentences, and prepositional phrases. Those are really areas where fluffy writing can creep in. As a teacher of college writing, they have a name for this. Professor. As a composition professor, I always have to remind myself that there's that's an important word, right? That, which, and who I get rid of. I messed around with this a couple of times. I decided that I can get rid of all of it. As a composition professor, my experiences in writing classes matter within my student experiences with writing classes matter. I made a lot of assumptions of my instructors that my students make of me. The little bulky, I probably don't need a lot of. It just needs to be a little bit quicker. Oh yeah, and this essay is 775 words right now. I made assumptions of my instructors that my students make of me. That's okay. It's got a pretty good cadence. I don't like bullet points in academic essays, but this is not technically an academic essay. It's a This I Believe essay. And so I'm going to actually use a bullet point. Another place where I can get rid of wordiness is through parallelism. And bullet points are key for parallelism. Let me get rid of the and. Because I don't need they assume, and they most likely assume. I do need to keep them sentences, which is weird too. I don't like bullet points that are sentences. But now it's going some weird stuff on me. All right. Oh, it really did it. But because I'm already kind of caving on the bullet points, I'm going to go ahead and give it all the way and leave my sentences alone. There it goes. Now I need to get this bumped back, and it needs to be left aligned. There it goes. Good. In short, slow start, don't need in short. All three are somewhat incorrect. In college, now this is kind of a weird thing. In college, I'm both a professor and a student. So in college doesn't give me a timeline. I actually need as a student. I never read my instructor's finished work, nor their drafts. As an instructor, I question how teachers expect students to take all of the risks. To take risks, I don't need all of. So I'm starting to just snap it together, but I'm thinking about what I'm saying. I'm thinking about the meaning of every sentence. Writing instructors should take risks with their students. Now this actually would be quicker. By writing with their class. Ooh, I didn't come up with this one earlier. Classes is probably plural. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. I wrote this morning, and I already hate it. I've read it a couple of times, and I decided this is one of those things. I talk about how in high school I hated English. But this essay isn't about hating English in high school. It's not about hating Shakespeare, and it's not about necessarily feeling like I don't understand grammar. I didn't understand grammar. It's just a different path. It's a different essay. It does have nothing to do with it. So I cut it. And then to make me feel good about cutting my darlings, I go back to my tools and I look at my word count and I say, all right, I'm at 644. I've cut already over like 130 words, 131, right? And I keep going. Here's something I added, and I think it's great. For me, college writing classes were, and I always want to say A, and it's not A. College writing classes, plural, were clammy, sweaty, anxiety-inducing events, plural, no A. Several classes a semester would plunge my mind and nervous system. I don't need nervous system. I don't need deep, because plunging is deep. But plunge my mind into my own personal panic attacks. And I don't need own and personal. Maybe a full on. All right. Maybe not A. Maybe it's plural. Now I'm fixing it. See, thinking about it, cutting it. It's good. 20 copies of my first draft would pass around the writer's circle. The class would begin to read, and the writing circle titled. Look at that. I've read that 14 times. This is the first time it's tilted and spun uncontrollably. Not only, this is the best sentence. I just added this the other day. Not only was I afraid, but I felt as though I was suffering alone. I was certain that I was the fraud among a room of confident, natural writers. And I think finally I took this paragraph and I named the fear. I've shown the panic attack, and we can assume it was just from nervousness of writing, but I finally named the fear, and I think that is my best sentence. It happens 2 paragraphs in. I have my belief, but then I have finally exactly what that belief comes from. It comes from feeling like I was doing it alone, and that my process wasn't right or wasn't going to get there. I don't need any of the graduate degree stuff anymore. I feel confident. If I added something good, I'm going to take this away. It was a crutch. And I'm not sure how to reword this, but you get now what I'm doing. See, if you were to take a look at my draft before I did this and now, you'll notice how different these really are. So take this into consideration and have fun revising. Remember, get rid of what doesn't matter.